So everything was done. But now she was responsible for saying, yeah, this is whom you're supposed to go and do a shoot with, do a pilot with them, and then come back, we'll edit it around, and then he will come to the studio, and then we'll look over what the entire thing was like. How did it come out? And does it need adjusting, script, whatnot, all that, discussing. So they don't want me to just shoot the video, and then we go back and then discuss around it. Maybe they wanted to change it or whatever. So that pilot, for that pilot to be shot, she was responsible for scheduling this entire thing. Miguel was ready for flames. Guys, I haven't told a story time in a minute, and I remembered one story time today because of a particular memory thing on Facebook where I woke up. And I thought, you know what? Yesterday we did the video about her story time of her journey being a Sangoma. Now on this particular episode, I wanted to tell my story time of my journey when the Church Reality Check channel almost got taken by a television show, by a television channel, and they wanted to do a frame of this show on live television, and they wouldn't have shot it live, but they would have shot the show, edited it out, and then published it on their platform, and then they would have given me a copy to continue that copy online. And so that was kind of like the agreement, and I thought that was an interesting one. I gotta tell you this thing, and yes, there is a Sangoma in the midst of it, and we gotta talk about that because I find it very funny that show ended up having a Sangoma show right after denying my show. So I thought that was interesting to talk about. It's a reality show with the daily Christian commentary videos. If you're not clear on when exactly, Ricky, you must be joking. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding about the story, okay? This is real. This really happened between the period of 2016 into 17. If you can remember my story time when I was talking about the breakdown on a live stream about me coming back to doing content, 2016-17, that's when I really started coming back, right? And I was doing apologetics video. It was around the time of Omotoso's arrest. So I did a couple of videos that kind of gave a certain idea out there, but they would contain social commentary. So by that time, there were guys like Fash. Fash was a comedian in South Africa, or he is a comedian. I don't know if he still does videos. I don't see his videos that much. So Fash was very popular by that time and was starting to pop, and he was all over Facebook, all over YouTube, the whole Nancha jazz. And so these people started looking for talents for different show ideas in order for them to kind of broaden the theme, because they saw like, okay, influencer stuff is becoming the go-to place. And so that's where I was coming in. So you might be asking, so what was this meeting like? This guy texted me via Twitter, because one of the videos that I done was on Twitter. And so he saw that video, he texted me, we talked, and great. It was on the old Twitter account. Unfortunately, the recent Twitter account that I have, Church Reality Check, it's a new account. It's not the old account. And so I'm not that active that much there, but you can go follow me. I'll follow you back. And so around that same time of me doing that particular, that whole jazz thing, and also what helped my videos pop for this guy to see was that I'd been doing videos, and Daniel Marvel actually retweeted my videos, my video, one of my other videos and stuff like that. And so that's how he got to see this video. And so this guy came up, yes, Daniel Marvel. It almost got this channel on big time television. And so this guy contacts me and he says, listen, would love to see you and would want you to talk to us about your show's idea. It seems interesting, but we want to see what your vision is. So creative control all on me. So we went over around the Kempton Park Randburg area. I don't want to say more than that. I don't want to talk about what studio it was that was doing this. And so around that particular area, I went over. We had a meeting. We sat down for like 40 minutes to an hour, discussing the show or the idea for the show. It was kind of like themed around like the Trevor Noah show, okay? With the Daily Show. It was themed around that type of commentary. So it's the same thing that I'm doing right now, but around church. Now, it was not going to be preached. So If there's a particular subject we are bringing up, you're quoting the verse for it or why it contradicts. You don't have to preach the subject or preach the idea of why it's wrong. You just have to highlight it. And so they were like, great, because I told them, okay, this is what you want. It will appeal to the mass audience. It's not preaching, it's not church. It's just an average show of the daily things that they might see on social media, which might trend. Introduce me to the editors. They show me the studios to shoot the stuff and their broadcasting space and whatnot and stuff. It was the first time I was in the studio, basically, particularly a television broadcasting studio. And that was a very interesting setup to see, to be honest with you. It was very interesting. They have an entire room that just broadcasts. And then they have a backup room that broadcasts if the main room has thing. It's really interesting. So after this meeting, we finished everything. When I left the studio, the discussion about the show was done. So what we were supposed to do now was, he was supposed, because remember, he's responsible for me towards the channel. So he had to schedule time for the camera crew to come through to my studio to shoot. It wasn't a very interesting place, but hey, we were working with what we had. So the camera crew could come to the studio and shoot, or on the day when they have cameras in the studio, I would go over there and shoot in the studio. So it was one of these two. We ended up resulting to the camera crew coming to my place to shoot the video. Fine, that was the last part. Now, all of a sudden, they moved this guy to a different show, or they wanted this guy in a different province to do something else. And he was moved over to Durban or something like that. Now, I was there still trying to contact him, and I'm like, hey, when are we doing the pilot of the show so that they can see what it's like, and then we will edit, and then they will then decide how they see the show. He says, no, I'm no longer in charge of that project. They've put me in charge of a different project now. So the person who's responsible for this, it's this person. So he hands me over to the person who's responsible for the show. He's like, bruh, I really loved your ideas. I loved your show, and I hope this goes well. Right, great. The person he handed me over was a Sangoma. Now, this lady, guys, bear in mind, she's not responsible for pitches. I'm not pitching the show to her. No, I'm not trying to negotiate a meeting to come over. No, I'm not trying to meet the station manager. No, I'm not trying to. They came to me. Okay? They came to me and said, we are interested in your show. How would you phrase it for television? You know, that's what it was supposed to be. You know, we want to be on the right side of legally and whatnot and all that kind of jazz. And so, okay, great. So I'm supposed to just talk to her about, hey, when is the camera crew available to come through to shoot the pilot, or when am I coming over to the studio to shoot the pilot? She's like, what pilot? And I'm like, okay, please speak to this person that referred me to you so that you can get the downline of the conversation, or how far we've gone in the conversation. And then we can move forward with everything. I've discussed with the guys everything. So I told her these things. Azalani. The definition of a difficult person. So she's like, okay, send me your link. Send me a link of your show. I want to see what he saw. And then I'll call him. Now I'm like, no, call him first, so that I'm not giving you downloads of ideas as if I'm pitching it to you. No, I want you to go get information from him so that you can know how far we've talked about the show. The arrogance of this person. And the arrogance became worse once she saw that the content was Christian. She was like, no, we are not a Christian show. I'm like, exactly. That's why I told you to talk to him, so that you have the download of the entire show. The person who was handling the project was not a Christian, but that was not the subject. It's not what you believe. I'm not asking you what you believe. Keep your beliefs to yourself. The subject is about me getting the pilot for me to get the shoot done. Your beliefs outside of the window. this person was not having it. No, you gotta pitch the subject to me. I'm the one that's responsible for the show. I'm the one she's responsible for the project, basically. You're responsible for the project, but this channel has already taken this thing, okay? They've already taken the idea, everything. What they want now is the shoot to be done, and then after the shoot is done, they want to send it off to the editors. The editors edit it, and then I come in to review it, and then we send it off to thing. She's not having that happening. Completely. She is not having any of that happening. No, you gotta pitch the show to me. I don't see how they approved it. And so I'm like, you know, Africa has many problems. Africa has many problems, and this is just one of them. And so this story kind of gives you an highlight of some of the, because bear in mind, this is not a channel. Okay, this is a television channel. It broadcasts to many people. She is not the director. She is just an assistant. She is an assistant to this director who is supposed to get everything set up through her. And so you might be wondering to yourself, okay, so then why didn't you contact the previous gentleman? He was now in charge of a different project altogether. And not only is he now responsible for a different project altogether, the number that he had been using then got transferred to a different assistant. And once it got transferred to a different assistant, when I called that number, that other person was not having the conversation. Like, what? Why are you looking for him on my number? And I'm like, yeah, you just got the number, right? So you can give me the other person. Woo, Jesus. So at that point, I was like, you know what? The stumbling block here is the Sangoma lady. A stumbling block here is the Sangoma lady, and the Sangoma lady is not having it. And that's how the show got dumped. That's how the idea of the show got dumped. Now, the gentleman then later contacted me on Twitter. And I think it was like 4 months later or something like that. And he was like, dude, what happened to you? I'm seeing pilots of the show which were run through, and most of them were dumped. And your show was one of the most solid. It would have stuck. Why is it that your pilot was not there? And I'm like, dude, the person you gave me, the person you gave me was just not cooperating. And he was like, okay, send me the conversation on WhatsApp, and I will relate it over to the person who was the director of that entire project. My phone had died. My phone just literally had died by that period. Remember, I was using a tablet, and that tablet, I think it rained, and it caught me in the middle of the rain, and so the phone was fried completely. So I couldn't text him, I couldn't screenshot and then send the screenshots to him to say, this is the conversation. I did make an effort to actually get the shoot done, but hey, this person wasn't having it. This person was insisting on imposing their ideas on what show was gonna make it to be reviewed over there. Because her beliefs were completely... Now, bear in mind, guys, she was just an assistant. Okay? She was an assistant director. The director wanted the show. So the idea, and was like, oh, okay, this is great. And he didn't follow up with it until the time when the reviews for the pilots were done. And when he got to review it, my pilot was just not there. And so he thought maybe I just didn't like the idea. He left it like that, and they took on a different show. And I kid you not, the show that they took was the Sangoma show. I kid you not. That is not a joke. That's not even a joke. So I'm left wondering, you know. So she led shows that she agreed with, or what is happening, because remember, she's the assistant. She's responsible for who's going through into that process. The director is not handling those minuscule jobs of scheduling the times of the people. No, that's the assistant's duty. And so that's how the Church Reality Check went all the way to almost being national, and got dumped because the Sangoma was like, no, chief, you want to come here preach? We are not doing that. Strict challenge show. We did any Christian commentary videos. I thought this story time was worth telling because it's very interesting that people say, oh, don't impose your beliefs on other people, while their beliefs are being forcefully imposed on other people. You know, while Ubungoma or Sangoma's work as a whole, it's imposed on the person by the ancestors, as you might actually call it. And so one way or another, people are doing the very same thing that they tell other people not to do. So we could have been on television, but hey, we're still on YouTube. And I got to meet you. It's Ricky, and yeah, I'll be good, and I'll see you on later on. Check out the rest of the channel if you haven't seen any of our videos, and yeah, I'll be blessed. Salute.